Okay, this is the video that goes along with simplifying radicals number 3. This isn't the problems on your worksheet, but hopefully this will help you figure out what's going on. To save time, I'm going to go ahead and I've done the first problems like we did last week, 72. Divide by the biggest number we can find of our magic numbers, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36 is it. So 6 radical 2, you can see the answer there. 49 goes into 343 7 times. Radical 49 is 7, so 7 radical 7. Now the new part that we're going to be tackling this week is one of the two. We got two new things, and the first one is putting variables under radical signs. And this part right over here, radical x stays radical x. But if we can get x squared together under a radical sign, that simplifies to just x. Square root undoes the squared. If we have x cubed, we can take 2 of those to make a 1x, and then the radical x just has to hang out. And if we have radical x to the 4th, we can break it down into x squared times x squared under radicals, which then gives us x squared. So that's kind of a very brief, and we're going to have quite a bit of work to go through here, but let's go ahead and look at problem number 5. 448 is a pretty big number, but it's, after you simplify, it's going to be 64 times 7. And then I have square root or radical m to the 4th. Now, if I can break it down that way, spend the time to get to 64, I would have 8. Radical 7 doesn't simplify anymore, and m to the 4th is going to equal m squared. So 8m squared radical 7 is the answer we're looking for. All right, so we're adding this part here to this part up here. So if we look at number 6, we have 320. I went r squared, so 320, another 64. 64 times 5. Then we have radical r squared. So square root or radical 64 is 8. Radical 5 is left over. And square root or radical r squared is simply r. So 8r radical 5. Now I put the r back in front so there's no confusion over whether the r is under the radical or not. So the other one that we may want to look at is 384. And again, that was another 64 when I worked it out. 64 radical 6 n cubed. So 8 radical 6, and n cubed is going to equal n radical n. So if I clear all this up, outside I have 8n, and under the radical I have 6n. So my answer turns out to be 8n radical 6n. So there's a little bit to get us started as far as dealing with variables or letters under the radical sign. Now the last thing we're going to look at to start the week is going to be our adding. And this is going to be pretty simple to start out with here. 5 radical 7 plus 2 radical 7 is 7 radical 7. That's all that there is to it. 2 radical 3 plus 3 radical 3 is going to be 5 3. Now, this one gets a little more, but we get 7 radical 8. 4 radical 8s plus 3 radical 8s is 7 radical 8s. However, radical 8 is one of those that we've been working on breaking down. So we get 7 times 2 times radical 2, because square root 4 is 2. So 14, I better get back up here. 14 radical 2. And if I look at this one, got to remember that we can still do negative numbers because they're outside the radical. And we are at negative 8 radical 5. Hope this helps, and I'll probably try to type out, finish, give you another just version if you're having trouble downloading these. Hope all is well.